And we're live. It's the Mindstate Marketing Hour. Let me run this intro again. We're just two guys trying to figure this stuff out. Will, you're muted, by the way, too. So it's the Mindstate Marketing Hour starring Will Leach. I'm Steve Brown, your host. And today we're going to talk about psychologically how sharing food psychologically brings teams together. We're streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, if they still call it that, Twitter, YouTube. Worldwide welcome. What's up, Will?
We've had a fun morning. Actually, we've had a fun 3 minutes just before we got online, man. All these things were going technically wrong, but I think we're in a good place. We're in a good place, man. I am excited. I am out the door after today. I am taking a cruise. I'm going to the Bahamas, everybody.
You're going to the Bahamas and you don't even have a Bahama shirt on. What's up?
You got to buy the Bahamas shirt in the Bahamas. I'm not one of those guys that goes out and has them mailed to me, nothing else, man. But I will come back with my Bahama gear. I may get one of those braids, like when they do the braids, those are really nice. I'm looking forward to some of that. So yeah, I'm just doing my thing, man. Ready to call it a season and get it ready for December. How about you, my friend?
Same. I'm looking forward to spending time with the family here coming next week. It's one of my favorite times to sit down, cook, hang out, watch a little football, just catch up with folks. And it's kind of funny. Guess what the topic today is? How sharing food psychologically brings teams together. And that's in play with your family as well. Why did you want to talk about this?
Well, it is. I think it's perfectly aligned with Thanksgiving coming up next week, and I have my own family here, so we are bringing the extended family on this cruise. And it dawned on me that we're going to be not only having Thanksgiving together as a family for the first time, in 2 years probably, but we're going to be sharing Thanksgiving dinner with, I don't know, tables and tables and tables of other people on that cruise. So it was just kind of cool thinking about food. I used to work at PepsiCo. We did a lot of food research, as you can imagine. And it dawned on me, man, we should probably talk a little bit about food and sharing of meals and what that kind of, what that can do for you. And psychologically, why it kind of makes and brings people together. So I think we do that, talk about a couple of traditions. I want to hear some of your family traditions. I'm going to tell you some of my family traditions just so we can get ready for Thanksgiving.
So, one of the things that I've always done is I love to get like lunch brought in. We hang out, we work together, eat some lunch together, or we go have a drink maybe after work, just a little team bonding. What's going on there? Why does that seem like the right thing to do?
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of because food brings people together, and food is happiness. Food has so many great connotations and associations with it, mostly positive, by the way. That is the reason why we do so much. You think about religious ceremonies, oftentimes revolve around food. You think about cultural ceremonies, whether it's bar mitzvahs or if it's kind of the quinceañeros or it's just regular birthday parties or whatever. Almost all things, even first dates, revolve around food. So there's a lot of good associations with food. And it's not necessarily the quality of food. It's because we are sharing something that is universal to all of us. In fact, it is the universal language of care and nurturance. So I looked up this stat, and it said that cultural anthropologists estimate that there are 7,000 languages on Earth, and therefore at least 7,000 cultures. So I think that's really low, because if you just come to Texas, we have like at least 9 different cultures in the state of Texas, and we all speak the same language, kind of. You know what I mean? So we have so many cultures, and I was reading this work, and I was saying that sharing of food is a universal gesture of hospitality and care. It's universally known as a way of bringing people together. And just like I said, it's because it is integrated in so many cultural and religious and group-based activities, birthdays, bar mitzvahs, weddings, funerals, everything revolves around food. First dates. So yeah, it was just kind of like this idea that, when we want to feel nurtured or want to provide nurturance, oftentimes it's through the use of food.
Some of my favorite shows that I like to watch on YouTube or, on Netflix or whatever, are shows where people go around, they meet folks, they cook food together, then they sit down and eat it, and you kind of learn about that kind of food, but you hear the backstory of the family. Those are my favorite ones. I really enjoy those.
Yeah, I think it's because we all have really, for the most part, really pleasant memories around food. I think you're right, and it also gives you a chance to learn about others' cultures, right? I actually have my uncle John. He owns a series of tire stores up in Syracuse, New York, and for his employees, this became a huge tradition for I think decades. But they used to do trash can turkey. You ever heard of this concept, Steve?
No.
Yeah. So I don't know it very well either, but I remember he posts about it all the time. So he basically, all the employees from I think there's 3 tire storms, they all get together to one store. And what you do is you get your turkey all set up. Now, all the employees who bring over their food, the sides, the potatoes and the gravy and the stuffing. But you take a turkey and you set up a fire on the ground, by the way, just like you would a campfire. You get that fire going, and then you kind of put something above it. I think it looks like a tray above that fire to lift the turkey. You set the turkey on it, and then you put a trash can on top of the fire, and it acts like an outdoor oven. So you can have 20, 30, 40 employees, and your turkey is cooking inside of this trash can. They call it trash can turkey. And I'm sure I'm underplaying all that goes into it, but it's one of those disposable trash cans, those metal ones that keep not the plastic ones. Don't do the plastic ones. Do the metal ones that aren't going to melt on you, right?
That's what came to my mind first.
This guy called the EPA on this guy. What's this guy doing? Yeah. But he did this for years. I remember his employees love it, man. It's just like this big tradition where everybody brings their own dish, their unique side, and then he does the trash can. It gets them out there really early in the morning. And, it's just something really cool. Like I said, that brings people together. And if you're in the behavioral design space, I like to always bring this back to marketing, though today I think it's a little bit more about bringing your teams together and your staff together. But if you're in the behavioral design space, and let's say you have customers that are driven by nurturance, one of the most important things you can do visually in your advertising is to show people sharing meals. And if you can show them sharing the same dish or bowl, like spooning things out of the same bowl, that evokes stronger emotions around nurturance and care. And that's the only thing better than doing that is to show people touching each other's face. I think I've talked about that in other shows. So my point being is that if you have a product or a service that's related to nurturance or care or love, anything like that, sharing of food is something you should be putting into your design toolkit left and right, because it is universally known as a sign of love.
Wow, there's so many, I'm thinking of all the cultures that sit on the ground, and they have that big round plate of food with rice and meat, and they're just all dipping in there together.
Yeah.
How bonding, how it's just, I've been to Shabbats, and it's like all this food is around, and you just have this thing that bonds everybody on a regular basis. It's powerful.
It really is. It really is. And if you can pull something off similar to that in your own office, imagine the bonds that you're making, the memories you're making, how employees feel appreciated. They know that you care because you were giving something that you made with your own hands oftentimes, or if it's not even from your own hands, it feels like there's still something special. When somebody serves you food, it's a sign that they are special and recognized. So absolutely should be putting in, into your office routine every so often, sharing a food. Now, I don't mean just buying pizzas and they're in the office, workspace. That's great. That's awesome. But it's actually sitting down together as an organization, as a team, and sharing the food. It's really important.
I've noticed this too. You notice these things, you just experience them. But when you think about it, when you're eating together, you're more open, you're more transparent, you share more stories.
You are. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. Why people are more open, I believe anyways, is that especially with comfort foods, if you're eating something, let's say if somebody has a comfort food, like for me, it's certainly some of the things I grew up on was mac and cheese. That's a classic one in the South, macaroni and cheese, or maybe potato salad, things like that. So if somebody serves you that, it's not that just that food itself makes you kind of more open, but it's the memories you associate with that food from the past. So when somebody serves me macaroni and cheese, I have fond memories of my grandmother, making macaroni and cheese, and my mom making potato and macaroni salad. And so those associations, those great moments flood my mind. They evoke emotional response. And all of a sudden I become more open because we're all friends. You're creating a relationship using the food because I have a relationship with that food with people that I love. Also, if I think about the idea of cooking or preparing foods together, that's even better. So when you work together with somebody, so let's say if you're going to bring people together and we're all going to like make something together, like chili, or we're going to build a salad, even something as small as building a salad. Hey, you get the tomatoes, I'll get the lettuce or whatever. The sheer act of working with somebody in unison to build onto something bigger than themselves, like tomatoes plus lettuce equal a salad, that actually creates greater bonds. And with that bonding comes more transparency. People are more likely to open up about their feelings, good and bad. And of course, that's great, important. It's a really important thing for you to do if you are, if you're trying to build, greater bonds. So co-making things is also really cool. If you can establish something where you co-make things, just where people are preparing something together makes people feel like they belong and therefore open up.
Yeah, I was just nothing more fun to me is like getting together and popping a bottle of wine open and then making a dinner while instead of them sitting and waiting for the meal to be served, everybody's like pitching in and talking. It's just the right thing to do. I noticed also, like with realtors, you go into those open houses, they'll have some cookies baking. That was just hitting me that you walk in and you smell that smell.
That's because people associate cookies with fond memories, right? Young memories, especially chocolate chip cookies, like specific cookies actually even evoke a higher emotional response. So that's absolutely deliberate. The same thing happens in grocery stores with the bread. Have you ever noticed that when you go into a grocery store and they're baking bread at like 8 a.m. or 7:30 in the morning, and you're all going, why would you bake bread that early? Because it's very easy to bake a loaf of bread. And who buys a loaf of bread at 7 a.m.? They're not buying it to be sold. They're buying it to create smells in the deli so that somebody going in there for bagels or for something totally different, they feel happier. It feels homey. It feels warm. And so if I feel homey and warm, I'm more likely to buy things that I wasn't naturally going to buy. There's a reason behind this stuff. The grocery stores do a lot of research on this stuff. I help them do it.
So what are some of the Thanksgiving memories around food?
Yeah, so I was just, I thought about this. I was like, what I'd like to do? I want to just talk a little bit about Thanksgiving and memories. And, for you guys, it's really important this holiday. I know it's about football. I get it. I also know it's about family, turkeys and stuff like that. But I just wanted to think about like the memories and how thankful I am for the memories I have. And I'm thankful for the memories, you and I are sharing today, Steve, as well. And hopefully our future memories. So I have one of my fondest memories is, did you guys ever play the Turkey Bowl? Did you ever do Turkey Bowl? I don't know if that's a Texas thing or not.
I don't think so.
All right. So the Turkey Bowl was this. I don't know if you guys ever did this out there, but Turkey Bowl was that on Thanksgiving morning, you wake up. And this is when I was in high school, right? So it's a long, long time ago. And then what you do then is, if you guys have ever seen The Sandlot, the movie The Sandlot, where basically the kids go out and every day they play baseball, and then they're hoping that somebody will come up, and another team will show up, and then they can actually play another team as opposed to playing themselves. That's what the Turkey Bowl was. So what we would do is we'd get in a car and we'd drive to different fields and wish and hope that we would actually have another team out there so we could play football, tackle football. So for me, we would do that. We'd start off at 9 a.m. and we'd go around while my mom's cooking all the turkey dinner, and we'd go around, and I was a skinny guy. So I was one of the guys that got beat up pretty good in there, but you'd come back with cuts on your face and so dirty. And then I come home and it's it's a half hour later than what my mom said we're going to be eating. And so they're waiting for me and I'm in a lot of trouble, but she goes, get it cleaned up because we have to take the picture, right? So I'm all dirty and nasty and blood. But Turkey Bowl was huge growing up, man. Those are great fond memories. How about you?
Yeah, just reminded me of the times that I would go over to a friend's place and have Thanksgiving, and that's kind of cool because you're with other families too, and you get to participate in their rituals. And we would go out and play, touch football for 30, 45, 50 minutes and just have a lot of fun, girls and boys, right?
Oh, the touch football is a big one, man. I hear about that one all the time. What I loved about what you just said too was bringing other people into your cult, or into that Thanksgiving dinner, man. It reminds me of that 3 Cups of Tea. You ever read that book, or do you know the idea between 3 Cups of Tea? No. I think the book was done in like 2005 or something, but basically it's a memoir. But my brother served in Afghanistan, and in that culture, they talk about three cups of tea, and you just reminded me of it, which I think again revolves around food. Was that when you go into a home, especially in that culture, and you are served a cup of tea, the first cup of tea is like for strangers. The second cup of tea is for kind of a guest. Now you're considered a guest. And then if I serve you a third cup of tea, then you're considered family. And so I love this idea of those traditions like that you kind of are establishing this relationship. And it's well known in that culture, right? So the whole point is, if you got to a village or whatever, you want to the village elder, you'd want to, hopefully if he's going to serve you some tea, you knew where you stood as you were getting more tea. You knew that you're becoming family. So and he was helping build schools out there, and so he was very well received a lot of the times from these elders in these villages. So anyways, it reminded me of that. The cool part about Thanksgiving is when you can bring in other cultures. That's a really cool part.
I can see where the third cup of tea, you're going to need to ask where the restroom is, and so that's why you need to be considered
family. Yeah, because you don't let anybody use the bathroom. So you're like, oh yeah. Maybe I should be getting out of here. So yeah. Hey, what are some of your family? What's that one like dish that is kind of unique for you guys that you bring, or that's unique for you? Do you have like a unique Thanksgiving dish?
Yeah, it's the sweet potatoes with the marshmallows and the sugar and the brown sugar, and it's just really, my mom also makes this buttermilk pie.
Oh wow, that sounds good. So we also have that. I love that. The whole. I thought that was our family thing. I guess not, right? The marshmallows on top, and they always get burned because we forget that they're in the oven. My mom does that every year, when she's like, okay, I'm not going to let them burn, and then like, boom, they're on fire in the oven. So that's our family. That's not only just a dish; it's a family tradition, is to have burned marshmallows on top of our candied yams, I guess is what they are.
I remember having family Thanksgivings with all my, my aunts and uncles and cousins, and sitting on the front porch and eating and wrestling and just being kids, running in and out, slamming the doors, just having fun.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you do your own turkeys, or do you have or somebody else bring it, do it for you? You do your own turkey?
Yeah, so I love to do my own turkey. I like to brine them. So when you were talking about that trash can turkey, I was going, oh, maybe this guy's brining them in a trash can.
Yeah.
Right. But no, to turn it over and cook it that way, that's really cool. You got this unique way other than just, frying a turkey or whatever. But I love to brine them and then smoke them.
Yeah, I did my first smoked turkey when I got the big green egg about 5 years ago. My first year ever trying it, I brined it and then I smoked. And then what I did was I undercooked the turkey so badly that so Melanie's parents, I was cooking for them, which if you have to ever cook for your in-laws' parents, that's the scariest thing ever. And I undercooked it where there was still blood. There was still like that red, dark blood coming out of it. So then I put the temperature up like 600 degrees thinking I know you're shaking your head. For those of you on the audio, he's shaking his head. I didn't know any better. I'm like, let me just rack up the heat as much as possible. We're supposed to eat in like a half hour. And it was like at 45 degrees or whatever. It was bad. And then I basically scorched the turkey, made it horribly tough. It was a bad turkey. The great thing about Southern culture is even if you have the worst food, everyone always says, oh, it's so great. It's so whatever it is. Oh, it's such an interesting way you did the turkey, right?
Yeah.
So the next year I did it, and I did it all by design, but then it said that my temperature gauge said that it was undercooked, even though I put it in there for hours and hours, 10 hours, a long time. And then I thought, I'm not making that mistake again. So I let it keep going, and I let it keep going. And we're at 14 hours. The family had already eaten without the turkey. Like my sister-in-law brought turkey. And I was like, finally, it's done. And I was nervous, but I was like, I'm not going to let this thing underdone. and it was so overcooked. I pulled up the bones, just like all the meat just fell off the turkey. It was terrible. My third year I did it right. But in my first 2 years, it was a nightmare, man. It was both times with her family, which made it so much worse,
Yeah, they're just going, "Well, why did she hook up with this guy? What's wrong with her?"
That's so true, man. It came friggin' out of turkey. So that's your go-to thing, huh?
Yeah. So, now because they're a little bit smaller dinners, we just do a chicken instead of a turkey, and it makes it easy, and they're easier to cook. They're delicious anyway, but with all the fixings, everything's good. I love the gravy. The gravy is one of my favorite parts too.
What I love about this conversation is, man, you and I are connecting at a deeper level based upon my floundering of smoked turkey. And look at this, man. This is what you want to do with your teams, guys. Bring your teams together. I was going to say the last thing was, try to do a potluck. If you want to bring your team, just do it. Go do your beer can, or your beer can turkey, or whatever, your trash can turkey, whatever. But have people bring their cultural stuff. Like, have them bring their favorite dish. It's the coolest thing when people bring stuff that they grew up on, because they get to share their memories with staff, right? So if you can encourage that, go do it, man, for sure. One time we did something similar at my very first job, and I was a little bit sad. So just be careful. So it was a chili cook-off. And I'd never made chili before, but I just gotten back from a trip to Cincinnati. Now, have you ever had Skyline chili? You know what Skyline chili is, Steve? Okay. So in Cincinnati, there's this, and maybe in Northern Kentucky and Ohio, other place in Ohio, but there's this company called Skyline. It's a restaurant. And basically what they do is they do spaghetti, then they put chili on top of it. And then they put, you have different fixings. You put cheese, tons of cheese all over the chili, and then they may do some onions. And they have hot dogs like that too. So Skyline is a staple. It's something that's huge up there. But the chili is really watery. It's very watery. It's not. I don't know. I didn't grow up on chili like that. Our chili was very meaty and thick and hearty. Theirs is very soupy almost. And it has like the best way to describe it, if anyone's out there from Ohio, they're going to be upset about this, but I describe it has a lot of cinnamon in it. It tastes a lot of cinnamon, but whatever. So I was over there in Cincinnati. I grabbed a couple of these cans, because you can buy them in the grocery stores, and I put it together. And we're in Florida, is where we had this chili cook-off thing. And I was standing next to my senior vice president, and she was supposed to be the judge. And we're all kind of tasting all the chili, but she was going to be the judge. And she goes, "Oh gosh," somebody has to judge or eat this one, because this poor chili is the worst. And it was my chili. I was right next to her when she said, I just acted like it wasn't mine, because it was all supposed to be blinded. I go, yeah, I felt so bad. So if you're out there, don't judge anybody's food. It's their culture. It's their thing. Just love it. Eat it all. Even if you hate it, say great things. Be Southern. That's how the Southern people do it. No matter what you've done, generally they're going to say that they like it, even though they'll talk behind your back.
All right. Excellent. So, let's do this. Guess what time it is? It's time to start asking Will some questions. The other day, Will, I was like, I've been jealous that you've been approved to stream to LinkedIn, right?
Yep.
So all these go to LinkedIn, and we have a lot of interaction from folks on LinkedIn. And I got approved to be on LinkedIn.
Dude, that took forever, man. Congratulations. It's hard to get on LinkedIn, man. They're tough. They're a tough tough nut to crack, I guess.
So I was all excited about setting up these live streams, because now we could be streaming to my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you do it this time?
Well, so I get on in and I set it up in here, and guess what StreamYard says? You can only stream to one LinkedIn at a time.
Oh.
So anyway, to all my audience out there, we just cut Will's audience off. We just not really. We're streaming yours.
We'll figure it out. I have a feeling you're going to need to have two computers. If anyone's going to figure out a way to do it, you're going to figure out a way. Trust me.
Somehow. All right. So what is the biggest misconception about behavioral marketing?
Yeah, this is an easy one, actually. The biggest misconception about behavioral marketing is that it's manipulative. So I think, if you think about, it's behavioral science-based marketing, and are you coercing people, or are you tricking people? Behavioral marketing is no different today, because, we understand all these behavioral science things that influence behaviors than it was decades and centuries ago. What behavioral marketing is really understanding your customer at a deeper level, so you can make your marketing more intuitive and more compelling. It's intuitive, I think, is the big word here, right? When marketing feels natural, when it feels intuitive, when it gets somebody to kind of open up their minds a bit and say, wow, that's something I want, that is good. That is not manipulative at all. What's manipulative is if you have a bad product that you trick somebody into buying. But if you have a great product that serves people's needs, and then you find marketing that feels natural and intuitive to them and connect them with their needs and your product that meets their needs, everybody wins. So all it is understanding your customer at a deeper psychological level to meet their needs. So I don't see it as manipulative at all. I think that's the biggest misconception, is that somehow it's subconscious priming and things like that. And these weird words that we learned in the 60s that basically you're ultimately asking people to buy products that they like. And if you do that well, you get, a better, happier customer and a better, happier business.
Yeah, I think that poor marketing feels manipulating, right? And great marketing, great messaging, figuring out that we didn't talk about it this time, but Will's book is like when the light bulb went off for me, that to think about the state of mind that folks are in, then you're writing content that connects with them better. And when someone connects with you better or understands you, what do you feel? I feel understood. I feel safe. I'm going to hang out a little bit more and evaluate this other than be repelled or offended.
Absolutely.
So, Will, the next question is, what do you think the biggest marketing ramification will be from the new iOS being released?
Yeah. Okay. So I am not, a hardcore techie. I'll first talk about the latest one that was released and what it's doing to my business, and maybe you're seeing it in your metrics. And then I'll tell you some stuff I heard anyways, about the new one that'll come whenever it comes out. So iOS, I think it's 14 or 14.5, whatever, the latest iOS release, what it has done to my business. So here's how it impacts your marketing. If you do marketing where you are placing ads on some sort of a social media platform, I place ads on Facebook. What it has allowed users to do is basically tell, when they're on their phone, when you go to a website, it will actually ask you, hey, do you want to be tracked? That's what the new iOS. So if you're a consumer, you probably love this because you're like, oh, great, I don't want to be tracked. Why do I want to be tracked? There's no real benefit for me. For the most part, it benefits other people so they can track and use my data. So you can actually opt out, or you have to opt into being tracked, which is very different than the old iOS systems, right? So it used to be about 70 or 80% of people who had a phone were being tracked on everything because nobody opted out. It's too hard. Now Apple made it so you have to opt in. So now I think the latest data I saw was maybe 5%, maybe no more than 10% for sure, of people with iPhones or using Macs are actually saying they want to be tracked. Why this matters to you is because targeting now is incredibly difficult. So my targets on Facebook used to be very narrow, right? About 1 million people, but that's basically who I ran ads to, very specific, right? So it made my targeting really great. Now that's expanded to 30 million because Facebook no longer has all the data that it used to have. So now it makes it much more expensive because I'm shooting out ads to 29 million out of 30 million people that could care less about my ads. They have nothing to do with it, right? But that's kind of how it is. So my ad costs have gone up, and my tracking metrics have become more difficult. So I don't know how good ads are doing for days, in fact. And even then, I'm not trusting the data a whole lot. So that is impacting targeting as well as costs of advertising. However, the new one, this is what I heard. This is crazy. This is only like I said, I'm not in the know, but here's what I heard. The new iOS release is going to be even worse. So do you know how many times you go to a website, you want to download a white paper, or you want to, see something behind a curtain of so, and they'll say, hey, you want to have this free gift or whatever, give us your email address. Just sign up for your email address. What the new iOS system is going to allow you to do is press one button. It's going to make up a fake email address, and it's going to put that into there for you. And my guess is it's smart enough so that even if I try to bounce something immediately and make sure it's a valid email, it's probably going to say it's valid, which means your customers are going to be able to download white papers. They're going to be able to look at your webinar using a fake email address. They're going to get whatever content they have, and they can never, and the email address that you have goes to nobody. It's not monitored. Nobody knows that email. So that's the next rumor. That's going to make small businesses' lives even harder because now the email list that they're building may be full of fake email addresses. Now, the good news is this. If you're wondering, oh my God, how is this technology going to hurt my business? The number one thing you can do, and Steve and I, we talk about this all the time, is be human. Make your content so irresistible, so psychologically compelling that it gets people to not want to press that button because they truly do want to receive your information. They want to know the latest topic. So, and your emails and things like that. So it's going to even force us to be more creative and really psychologically understand what our customers want, because it's going to be even easier for people to not be tracked and to never, give somebody the email address or their personal email address. So that's probably going to happen pretty soon. But, the solution is become more empathetic.
Yeah, I really see that. There are these community tools where you can build your community where people can come and hang out, just like a coffee shop or something. But I really see that those become even more important for you to figure out a way to interact in a human way, in a community base, offering live content like this, or conversations where folks will give you their real email address.
Well, yeah, I know. I think it makes the push that you've been pushing for years. Organic is going to be more and more important. Bringing people in because you have incredible content that helps them live their lives versus advertising, a push advertising model, because technology is making it too difficult. And it's always you and I talk about this all the time. The last 5 years has made push advertising even harder because so many people are pushing so much advertising. But if you ever thought to yourself, boy, I better really figure out my organic strategy, delivering content, you better figure it out now, because technology is making it much more difficult for you to do paid advertising to reach somebody. Only the big boys are going to be able to afford it.
Yeah, it makes me think about they're kind of cutting off their nose to spite their face, because if they're charging you for ads, those ads you would click on that ad, who you're trying to figure out if the ad's being effective or not. Yep. How do you figure that out? By collecting email addresses, and then they're going to also shoot you in the foot on that side. So why do you even want to run ads or pay them ad revenue when they're working against you?
Well, here's why, right? Apple doesn't care about that. Apple hates Facebook, right? They hate each other. So somewhere deep down inside, I think there's an executive at Apple going like, screw Facebook. And they're making it so where Facebook can't sell ads. And I bet in fact, I think I just saw their earnings. Their Facebook ad revenues have dropped dramatically. So Google ad revenues have dropped dramatically because targeting is an issue. YouTube's a little bit different. But no, that's exactly why. Sometimes I think the best thing could come out of this, or if I was Apple, what I would be doing is I would be setting up a platform where you could buy ads through my platform to sell to, or to target people on Apple. Because it's an ecosystem that they control. It's a massive ecosystem, in fact. So I bet that's going to be their play. Within a couple of years, you'll go to Apple and you'll say, hey, Apple, I want to, send ads. And anybody who has an Apple device will have that ad placed for them somewhere.
Wow. So what are the top factors influencing buying behaviors today, Will?
Today, great question. So I'm not going to go with the stereotypical understanding, the mind state or whatever. Though that's always critical. It's in my book, Marketing Mind States. What I would tell you is this. The first thing that comes to mind is, because of COVID and what it's done globally, people's aspirations, what they see as success in life or important in their life, changed dramatically. Changed dramatically for so many different people. So that is impacting all of marketing, I think. The other thing it's done is motivations. So we used to see that motivations were kind of, there's these 9 core motivations that drive different categories. What we saw with COVID, it's still out there today, is a lot of motivations kind of converged around 3, which was security, safety, feeling, desire for safety and security, a desire for greater control over their people's environments. And the third one was, we call it captivation, but people want, more pleasure, or they want to have moments of relaxation. So we saw that a lot of the 9 motivations started to pull into these 3 core ones because COVID impacted so many people at such a profound level. So that's the first thing I would tell you. People's aspirations have changed dramatically, and people desire greater control, safety, and to be captivated with entertainment. And then the second thing is, and this has happened in the last 2 years, but values-based purchasing, meaning that people now, it's so easy to figure out whether or not you want to support, whether it's a company that supports a political cause or a religious cause or a social cause. And so people now have become very savvy of understanding the companies and what kind of causes they support, what kind of affiliations they have. It's very simple to find out whether or not you want to buy into that company. So values-based transactions, and branding matters. So it's not just what you do as a company, but it's who you associate with a company, what other companies you help support. Those things are impacting marketing as well. It's just becoming very easy to find out, causes that, you're interested in, what other companies are interested in that same cause and supporting them.
Excellent. All right. Well, everybody's gearing up for holiday week next week. I think it's awesome. Spend time with your family, your friends, go on a cruise to the Bahamas. Jealous. So
you get to have marshmallow candy yams. So they're pretty even, to be honest with you. I have a feeling that the boat is not going to give me candy yams with burnt marshmallow. So I think, it's a nice balance, 50-50 for sure.
It'll be some nice lobster stuff, but you'll eat it and go, oh, this is nice, but I miss that. So
when I'm having my steak, I'm thinking of Steve right now. When I have my lobster and dipping it in butter, I'm like, hey, Steve, this is for you, man. I'll hold the lobster tail up for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a good thing we're not playing Sandlot basketball or football. All right. So here we go. I'm going to run this outro. Everybody have a great holidays.
Yep.
The Mindstate Marketing Hour. We'll see you back at the same time here. We got
2 weeks.
Yep, in 2 weeks. So, all right, here we go. You ready to go, Will? You ready?
Ready. Let's see it.
Here we go. So, we're now a podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen on all of your favorite platforms. You love to listen to podcasts, Stitcher, all those. And then be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch more Mindstate Marketing Hours that you missed. Share with your friends. Be sure to like and let us know. And we'll see you again. Happy Thanksgiving.